Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow who?
Poo poo.
This is episode 3 of The Unwanted Epilogue. I'm Patrick.
I'm Jill.
And I'm Ford.
And this time we watched The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. Not starring Brendan Fraser.
No, we watched the new Mummy.
The new Mummy. But I wish we watched the one starring Brendan Fraser instead.
Yeah,
For
me
sure.
too. It's a much
I
better
did.
Mummy.
It's
Or the
fantastic.
original Mummy, or any of the Brendan Fraser Mummy sequels. Really.
Even the third one that didn't even have the same lady in it as the other two
Shut
movies.
your mouth.
Yeah,
I would rather have watched that than
Don't
this
you
one.
badmouth it.
I liked it though. I mean, I didn't like it. It was a bad movie. It was a fun bad movie though. Like, it was a good bad movie.
I mean, yeah. Okay, we can get into that. But
Yeah.
I think what we should start with is, and normally I don't really care to comment on like Rotten Tomatoes because whatever, it's just a made up internet number.
Bunch of dildos on the internet.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's just like people who make podcasts about movies on the internet.
Wait, we're a bunch of dildos on the internet.
Yeah, everyone's a bunch
Shit.
of dildos on the internet. But it has a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't think it's that bad. Like, I don't think it was as bad as like Suicide Squad, for example.
Ugh.
No.
That was far more painful to watch
Yeah.
than this movie was. Like,
This
I
movie
wasn't
was
angry.
overall enjoyable. Like,
Yeah, I mean, but not in the way of like the original Mummy, where
no, it wasn't
No.
fun.
it's not. It
was
wasn't fun at
not
all.
fun.
There was no joy in any of it.
Right. But it doesn't like it doesn't.
There was no joy.
It's not like painful though. I don't know.
I will say, in the movie's credit, or to its credit, I like a movie that has an actual monster in it, and this
Yeah.
movie had a good monster in it. And like, even though they didn't do much with it beyond,
You're talking about Russell Crowe, right?
right? Oh my God, Russell Crowe! Oh no,
Why?
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was
Man.
that was a revelation of 2017. That was the performance to go down in history right there.
So ham-fisted and bad. Literally ham-fisted.
All he needed was like a silly top hat and a monocle when he became Mr. Hyde, and then he would have been complete. That like kept falling out because his face kept getting like more
morphing.
fucked up.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that stuff about it supposed to be becoming like a series.
Okay, so
I was
we should-
very
yeah.
just like put off by
Oh
suddenly
yeah. Did anybody
we
do?
go Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Like, why?
We should go into the fact that this is part of a universe that Universal is creating that has all the monster movies in one.
What? I had no idea
World.
about this.
They did. Okay, so at the beginning of the movie, a thing comes over that says Dark Universe across a planet or something.
It's the Universal thing, right?
But it's the Universal logo,
Oh yeah,
but
then
it's
it
like
changed.
reversed.
It was like Dark Universe. Yeah.
And then there's a scene in the movie where there's a fishman's hand in a jar and then a vampire skull in a jar.
Yes.
And they walk past it. And then there's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So they're doing all of the things, but they're setting it all up in one movie like Batman v Superman. So it's terrible. Like, it doesn't make any sense for any of that to be introduced. And like, why they couldn't just make a good opening movie about a crazy mummy lady and let that be the focus of it. It had to also have Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde running a fucking like weird organization that does it, research into fish monsters.
So is it just like Hollywood is past the point of having run out of ideas? Like,
Well,
I mean,
I don't think it's necessarily yes is the answer, but I don't think it's necessarily that they shouldn't make a bunch of monster movies. I think that's a good idea. Like, make new monster movies. I'm all for that. Use the properties you have. Like,
Sure.
fine.
Yeah.
But don't fucking make a movie that is so bland. Like, I can't even think of a good action scene in this movie other than the plane, and that was at the beginning of the movie. Like, I don't remember any other part of the movie that was
the
really
one
exciting.
thing I liked, the underwater mummy minions
Yeah, that
come
was pretty
to
cool.
life and
Yeah.
swim.
That was
swim
scary.
after 'em, yeah.
It was spooky.
But I wasn't invested enough at that point in the movie to
No.
really be like terrified for
So
him.
like the framework that I kept looking at this movie as is like back in the day this would have been an instant video game IP tie-in thing where they would have made Mummy the movie the game and
Yeah.
it would have been on like Xbox or whatever and like a lot of the scenes in this movie looked like a video game, or like sort
Yeah.
of played out like a video game.
Especially
like,
the opening of it.
just
It's like a
lot of it,
cutscene
like-
at the
yeah.
beginning where the missile gets called in and it blows up and the thing is revealed It's very convenient.
Like, okay, if this had been like Nathan Drake the movie, what are those games? Uncharted?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and those are pretty good games, pretty
Yeah.
well received. Like, in their Indiana Jones kind of like.
It's a rip-off of Indiana
if this
Jones.
had been Indiana Jones.
But it's a good rip-off of Indiana Jones.
Like, if this had been an Indiana Jones movie, I think it would have been like okay, you know.
I also think if it had starred anyone but Tom Cruise, it would have been mildly more enjoyable. Just
Well,
if somebody had like a little more personality.
And co-starring like cheap T.J. Miller, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
You don't like Nick from
From New Girl.
From New Girls?
I like Nick
He's
from
one of the New Girls.
But it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
No. Well, and they didn't do anything with him. Okay, so we'll get into that too. But so to start off, because there has to be a comparison between the two, I want Jill to talk about how this movie fails to deliver in terms of not living up to the legacy of the original. And by the original, I mean the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Yeah.
So Jill,
Okay, so I
give it to
hadn't
us.
seen this in forever, and so very recently rewatched the 1999
Like today.
The Mummy. I started it a couple days ago. I finished it today. Okay.
That's a ringing endorsement
but
also for it.
I watched it, like, part of it at work, and I was having so much fun watching it, and then just getting so sad that the other one wasn't so fun.
You were not watching movies at work.
No, I had time. But
Sorry to cut you off.
it's okay. First of all, it's not set in like our time. It is old timey. Everybody wears suspenders and gets super drunk, and they're just like Egypt, and it's fantastic.
It's casually racist.
It is casually racist. That is a problem. It has some problematic things.
No,
going
but I
on.
think it does it like, and I'm not going to excuse the racism in it, but it does it for like this. It's like a B movie. It treats other races very much like a B movie, like a mystery science theater movie that you see that
Yes.
treats other people that's like, whoa.
It really does. But
Where like even the bad guy lead is like not white ethnicity, but he's like a very white dude.
yeah, yeah, he
You know,
is.
like-
He has, what did you say, Billy Zane undertone.
Everybody in the original Mummy looks like Billy Zane. Like nearly every
You are
actor in the movie
ridiculous
looks
with
like
that.
Billy
Is
Zane.
Billy Zane?
They all just look
Copy
like
and
him.
paste
He thinks
Billy
they're
Zane.
all just Billy Zane.
Yeah.
But it was a totally different experience, even though it's a very old movie at this point. It's just so much fun. Like, Brendan Fraser is Rick O'Connell.
Rick O'Connell,
And
I
he's,
forgot that.
you
The best part is
a son
every
of a
time-
bitch and just fucking fantastic. And it has, where he's out in the sand running around, people are shooting and sand's flying everywhere, and he's like totally surviving because he's a badass. And
It is one of the best, just a little bit that I walked in on you watching at the end of today was the sword fighting scene.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like it's funny, but it's also like there's tense moments, and he's like, it's actually good action, and you can
Yes.
see everything's very visible. They just stick the camera in one place, and then stuff happens in front of you, and they're not cutting 1,000 times.
No.
And it really
Yeah.
rides the line between being like an overly silly and serious movie. Like, it kind of reminds me of like Independence Day, that type of movie where it's almost too silly to the point where you can't even take it seriously. But then it kind of wins you back over with, the mummy
Well,
looks pretty good and
and
there's
they're-
scary bits.
Yeah, and they're all really horrifying.
Yeah,
Like,
there's some genuinely creepy stuff in that
We're
movie.
talking about the wrong movie, though.
No, but I mean, I just wanted her
Okay.
to give us a
But-
little
We gotta
bit
set
of
up
So my
background on it.
big thing though that I prefer about Brendan Fraser, Mummy, not more than him, just like right up there with him, is the fact that that movie actually has characters, right? There's all of these characters who are weird or like stereotype Benny, who's just like rascally rabbit and always getting into shit,
Is that the dude with the
making
hat?
trouble.
Mhm. The
Yes.
fez?
Where's the fez?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the best.
And her
The pilot.
Rachel Weisz.
So like, oh jeez, I can't go back in there.
yes, that guy.
The scene where he goes through all of the various religions to save himself
Yeah,
is
yeah,
great.
yeah.
That's
He
great.
is magical.
Yeah, Benny's the shit.
Not the lady lead. I mean, I like her. She has a whole, she's in the library when you first see her.
Oh, I was in love with her.
And
when
she's
I was
on
Yeah,
the
I said the same
ladder,
thing, too.
right?
That's true.
And she's
Yeah.
trying to reach a book, and then, whoa, loses her balance
Yeah.
and is teetering back and forth, and then domino effect with the bookshelves. Like,
I
it's
still
that
am.
kind of movie.
If you ever hear this podcast, call me.
3 or 4 times in the movie, she looks wistfully into the distance and is like, O'Connell.
Okay, it's shit like that.
That's what makes it a great movie, because it's like unabashedly a crappy action B movie, but done with a AAA, but like a Hollywood budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her brother
great.
Jonathan the drunk, who's also sort of
Oh,
a
yeah.
coward, but then comes through in the end.
Isn't he Julian Bashir?
No.
Is not Julian Bashir. Shame on you.
Isn't he Deep Space Nine?
His name
Isn't he a
is
Deep
John
Space Nine?
Hannah. You are terrible. You are terrible
He's the same
for
guy.
it. It is terrible you said
He's
that.
the same guy.
Oh my goodness. But it's, if nothing else, there are so many fun things about it. But just the fact that there are characters that are entertaining and you're not just like, I don't even remember anything about that lady actress. Was she blonde?
Yeah, she was blonde,
Well,
I think.
there is something I remember.
Yeah, that's about the
She
extent of her
predictably
character,
turned
though.
out to be a bad guy. Spoiler alert. She was a bad guy the whole time.
Wait, what? Oh, no, not really.
She was working for the
Yeah.
Prodigium.
But she was, how do you call it?
One of them double
No,
agents?
pragmatic. She was pragmatic, right?
I guess.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
you could say that. If you wanted to give her any characterization at all.
Well, all, doctors of research biology are just whores. I mean,
Oh my god.
for their, not actual, but, for their, they gotta just whore themselves out.
It's
to,
about ethics in games journalism.
No, but they go work for,
Oh god.
pharmaceutical companies and stuff.
Oh my god.
That's the
She's
game.
doing, okay? That's what she's doing.
Yeah, she's doing what she has to do. I mean, okay, to be fair, Tom, and we should now probably just go into the
movie?
actual plot of the movie, I guess, if we have to.
Dude, is there a plot?
The plot is Tom Cruise, and the movie tells us 3 times in the first 15 minutes that Tom Cruise is a roguish thief who steals antiquities and causes all kinds of trouble in the Middle East for this general who has to come in and deal with him every time. And literally, Nick says it, Nick from New Girl says the line, and then the general shows up, says the exact same thing. And it was probably supposed to be like a joke, but it just read as we copied and pasted that line in the script further down the page to another guy, and that's a character in the movie.
Did
is
you guys
Tom
read
Cruise.
that Tom Cruise had tried to take control of this movie, basically? Like a shitload of a hand on it?
He has a reputation for doing that on everything.
Okay.
And it sometimes turns out well. Apparently he really put a lot of work into the Edge of Tomorrow movie, and it turned out, I thought that was a good movie.
Yeah, I like it.
So it depends, I guess, on the people working on it and how much money they're going to spend on it, and I don't know.
Cruise, yeah. Huh, okay.
But I think part of the problem with this movie was definitely the script.
So they send him right after busting him and being you were out thieving jewels in the desert instead of doing the military force recon shit you're supposed to do. They send those guys down in the hole around all the jewels.
Yeah.
Yeah, right after they yell at them.
Yeah.
They're the
He's
best
like,
guys.
He's like, God damn it, McLeod. Get
Exactly.
down there and do it.
It'd be like if they were busted for drinking and they're like, all right, well,
You're the best we've got.
well,
God damn
go
it.
clear these crates of booze off the truck. That's your punishment. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea, sir.
I know you have a heroin habit. However, you
Yeah.
need to guard this heroin house
yeah,
overnight.
Yeah, and it's just you. So they go in the hole. Predictably, they wake the mummy up.
But it's not nearly as cool
Yeah.
as when they did I do that? Make it happen in the other movie.
Right. Yeah, in the other movie, they read the book and, it's a big dramatic thing. And
Oh,
this one, Tom Cruise
yeah.
gets frustrated at, the lack of hurry up and shoots, a thing. And,
Mm-hmm.
a chain lowers and then all these fucking camel spiders come out.
That was the only callback to the original, or not the only, but one of only 2 callbacks to the original where bugs came out.
Scare beetles,
Where something
bitch.
somewhat supernatural happened that wasn't just sand being flung around. She didn't do a whole lot of stuff. In the original,
No.
there's plagues and things like locusts, and there's an eclipse. And
Right, yeah.
It's
she
more
was fairly
apocalyptic.
lame.
Yeah.
And then the movie cuts to, they have the famous scene where they actually, did a zero-G thing in a plane.
That was a cool scene. It was cool.
If I hadn't known that, I would have felt like it just didn't look that good, which might be one of those, the fake reality looks more like what you'd expect in a movie. You know what I mean? One of
Yeah.
those, when they do it for real, it doesn't look right or doesn't look neat or something. I don't know. I thought it was cool knowing that that was actually done in zero-G, but I do think that if I hadn't known that, I would have been kind of eh.
That was the only memorable action scene in the movie, other than, like you said, the underwater mummies. But after that part where they let out the mummy lady and then it crashes and Tom Cruise dies and comes back from the dead,
Yeah.
and then he does his
He's
fabulous
cursed,
nude
y'all.
scene.
With
Where he's
the
cursed.
nudity.
He's been cursed with beautiful nudity. Is what he's been cursed with. Tom Cruise takes good care of himself. I'll give him that. I mean, for a 50-ish-year-old guy, he looks good. And you know, he looks so good that he gets to co-star in movies with ladies that are 38 years younger than him. That girl looked like she was 22 or
my
something.
skin is crawling.
Very young for him. I'm sure
grossing
she's
me
like
out.
mid. It's more like a halfway point, but still.
That's gross.
Still weird.
You're gross.
It's a weird Hollywood thing.
But so from the rest of the movie on, we're in London, and I got very much the vibe of that weird where they did movies for a while, like 10 years ago, that were all set in London. There was like the Sherlock movies.
The sequel to The Olympus Has Fallen was in London.
The League of
London Has
Extraordinary Gentlemen was in London, but there were all these like monster movies.
Fallen. Oh, you mean back?
Yeah, monster movies with like these secret societies that were like based in London, and like it was all like a weird like London fetish kind of thing. where
This
it's,
had a
like-
little bit of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen vibe to it, like just a little.
They do lots
sprinkling
of helicopter shots of like the London Eye, the Ferris wheel, and the Big Ben, and just like making sure that you know that we're in like jolly old London, England. Like,
But then every time they cut to an interior, it's like very clearly a set. The Prodigium thing is like very clearly
but they're
a
driving.
set, an interior set.
I mean, I don't know why this all jumped out at it to me. It just seemed like I didn't really get why, maybe, or what, why they do this sort of.
Why set it in London?
Like,
or like why have it feature so heavily as part of the...
It seems like they
narrative.
wanted to, maybe they like did market research and found that they were trying to sell this movie hard in London or like in England or something, because like everything is like
That makes sense
Well,
for an
jump in-
international
yeah,
market.
well, they
I think-
jump in like
yeah.
a very British like ambulance, and like there's just like a lot of like Britain going on, it seems like.
I think definitely this movie was made to appeal to international markets,
Yeah.
not to us.
No.
They don't give a shit if it bombs here.
Bombs in America.
It doesn't matter. Like, this movie, I don't know because I haven't looked, but I think it made its money back already internationally.
And that's not really a complaint that I have. It just jumped out at me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It reminded me in the vibe a lot of the movies that were made all set in London like 10 years ago, where they made sure that you knew that.
Yeah.
So-
Like the cops that go, it's like English bobbies and shit, like all the fucking time. Like, it's like weird, man. Like,
So I think at this point, since most of the movie is really disappointing, the only good parts that I enjoyed were when the actual mummy showed up in the present time. And I liked a little bit at the beginning too when they showed her
all of the
murdering children.
all of the flashback stuff that they keep doing is so stupid and not well done.
I
It
could
was
have
dumb.
done without that.
It was dumb. The flashbacks were dumb. I liked the little bit at the beginning, but I didn't like when they kept flashing back to it later.
Right.
They didn't need that.
Or when they get inside their heads. And
When
make them,
every
like-
time that Tom Cruise and she like locked eyes and he was like looking into the distance.
And then he goes to the desert.
Yeah, then he goes to the desert and he's like his shirt's open and it's like flowing
Okay,
in the wind.
there's a complaint. Not enough sand in this movie for
Yeah,
me. Not nearly enough sand.
I mean, she did do a giant sand face at
Not
the end.
enough.
Yeah, man,
was
the
too
old
late by
ones were
then.
so good remembering that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Remember he summons like the face out of the wall of water
It's so
in the
cool.
second one?
Yeah.
Even the shitty sequel was way better than this movie.
Yeah, see, and we were talking about that earlier. Like, the sequel is a bad movie, but it is so entertaining.
Yeah.
It's like a fun, shitty movie. And I haven't rewatched it recently, but I think I'm going to have to now because this movie just drained the
Okay,
life out of me.
but there was something I liked about this movie.
Okay, yeah, you should talk about
I
that.
liked the mummy. I liked Sophia Boutella.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
she
she
was good.
is gorgeous and fantastic, and she is was a dancer and model first, and danced on tour with like a ton of people, Madonna and Rihanna.
That's why they did the like chain ribbon. She
Yes.
pulls herself up
So
the thing.
she just I love to watch this woman move. She was in Kingsman. She
Yeah.
was in Star Trek Beyond. She is lovely. It's lovely to watch her move.
That was your
And
one good thing.
That was my one good thing because it's
you
a
had written
scary
down?
mummy in 1999, The Mummy, but because
Yeah.
of just technology, like she is a little lady and she takes up a lot of space when she moves. I thought it was fantastic.
She salvages, I would say, the movie more or less.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Cruise does nothing for this, but she
Russell Crowe,
she
man.
carried this shit on her back.
Crowe.
Okay, we got to talk about Russell Crowe.
What
We got to
the
get into
Why
that.
do we have to talk
We
about
got to.
Russell
We
Crowe?
got to
Fatness
because
was almost a plot point.
I love Russell Crowe. I'm a big fan of his. Like,
He was Gladiator.
I love Gladiator.
Yeah.
People hate Gladiator. People hate Ridley Scott. Whatever.
Why
Fuck
do
it.
they hate Gladiator?
I don't know.
Nobody hates Gladiator.
No, there's people that think Ridley Scott's a fucking hack. Whatever. I love Gladiator. I love Gladiator. It's a good movie.
Nobody
I
hates
have
Gladiator.
never
Dude,
seen Gladiator.
it's a great movie. You should see it. It's
If you hate Gladiator, write in the comments.
Write in the comments. If you don't like Gladiator, write in the comments and unsubscribe.
Yeah.
Please subscribe.
Tell your friends.
Please and donate to our Patreon. And
Stop it.
We'll send you some pizza rolls.
by the way, have
Wait,
you
that's
guys
not our
heard
joke.
about Green Apron? It is a new subscription box service. They don't send you food. They just send you a green apron in a box.
That's it.
Every month.
Yeah.
It's changed our lives.
when your apron gets a little bit ratty, you just throw it out and they send you a new one. It's great.
We're sponsored by Green Apron.
We are actually not. We should be, but we're not.
We
Hey,
should
Green
be.
Apron, if you're listening.
If you guys are listening. So Russell Crowe is in this movie, and
It's a very
Russell
fine
Crowe.
performance from Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe was in this movie.
oh my god,
That is a factually true statement.
They
He
had to
brought
show
nothing.
him turn into Mr. Hyde, and my favorite part was when he has like a panic room.
Do you think that they had to pay him?
No,
No.
I
Do you
don't.
think he did it for exposure?
I think they gave him a bottle of mouthwash that had alcohol in it, and he drank that, and then showed up
Do you
to
think
set.
that they gave him all the food that he would need to become that bloated?
Oh my god,
He
dude!
looks like he's got chronic alcoholism.
Dude,
Like,
I
he just
love
looks
Russell
puffy.
Crowe. I think he's a great actor.
He's full of fluid. Like,
I don't know what he's
retaining
doing.
water.
he's
I
retaining
don't know
water.
what he's doing in this fucking movie. I don't know what any of these people other than fucking dollar signs, I guess. And
He
that's
looks-
there's nothing wrong with that.
The largeness of his hand is like nearly a plot point.
Yeah, well, he's wearing. Okay, this is the only mildly cool
gosh.
detail about his character is that he's wearing a black glove to cover the place where he's been injecting the serum to keep himself from turning into.
I took that
Mr. Hyde.
as the hand had gotten infected.
No, that's
that was where the infection had like.
Maybe it started there, or maybe he hasn't been able to completely contain it, and it's like partially turning there, but he's just been injecting over and over again to try and keep it at bay.
So the whole overall point of this movie is that like evil is kind of actually like a disease. Like,
Wow.
well, it's like the miasma thing, right?
Yeah.
Like basically, like evil is a real thing that you can like catch.
Do Egyptians, did they have access to liquid mercury? Do you know the answer to that? Because I was wondering how they
So-
had liquid mercury in like 4 gallon amount,
Right.
or like gallon amounts.
The Chinese did later on.
Okay,
But,
so it's like semi-possible.
yeah, but the ancient Egyptians were like, tens of thousands of years before
Yeah.
the ancient Chinese. Like, we're a whole lot longer before. So I don't think so, man. But
They built the pyramids.
like, I've never read that or anywhere.
This
you know.
is too much.
I don't think the
We're not
aliens
here.
did it. I don't think the aliens did it. Just so we're beer bowl.
This is too much conversation for me right now.
Well, okay, so Dr.
Why don't
Jekyll.
you crack a fresh cold Zima?
Zima also sponsors the podcast.
Oh no.
Wait, Zima's like real now. I don't think we can actually say that.
Oh no,
Don't-
it is not. Is
Yeah,
it
they
really?
brought it back, I think.
I am so sorry. I take that back.
It's a
The-
brewski.
The
We're
podcast
sponsored by brewski.
does not endorse any
Absolutely not.
alcoholic products or materials.
It's
we only
soda.
consume them.
Carbonated
So-
beverage.
So
I mean, okay, wait. So they did set up, like you were saying, they did the Van Helsing thing, and Russell Crowe is like the Catholics at the beginning of Van Helsing, where he's like got this secret like supernatural research thing going.
the prodigium.
Is that what it's fucking called?
Yeah, that's what it's
Oh
called.
Jesus.
Are
They
you making
name
that
drop
up?
it. No, they name drop it a couple times. You didn't listen to the movie?
I was
Did you
not-
zone out
How
dur-
is
at any
there
time during
the
this
movie?
extremely interesting
I was
movie?
daydreaming about riding through the desert on a camel with that pilot from 1999, The Mummy.
Oh, does that movie made in
Winston
1999?
Havelock,
Wow.
I believe his name is.
Good day,
He
chap.
has a plane, okay?
Yeah,
he
he's
has
got
a
a plane,
plane.
yeah.
I flew planes in the Great War.
Yeah, he did. So, he was a hero. Thank you.
So, is there a video game tie into this movie? Because it really seems like it's just screaming for it.
There's a shitty phone game, and I gotta be honest, I almost downloaded and played it to like do research, and then I was like, I don't fucking care. I didn't do it, but
Wow.
it looked like it
Okay.
looked like a story game, and not like a game. Like it didn't have anything to do with the movie. I don't think it was just like a.
Why don't you tell us
adventure
how you
game.
really feel about it?
All right.
Whatever. Speaking of that type of shit, can we talk about the Mummy ride at Universal Studios briefly? Because I love that ride.
We can talk about the Mummy
and
ride.
I love that movie.
We can bring that up right now because it's a good ride.
It is a good ride.
I've never been on it.
What?
Wow.
Oh.
Is this the one in Florida?
What are you doing with your life?
Is this
It's
the
in
Universal-
LA too.
Oh, okay. I'm banned from the one in Florida. For life. It's a funny
Where-
story.
Oh no.
Yeah.
For legal reasons.
You know,
You should
if
not
I'd
talk about it
known,
here on the
if
podcast.
I'd known, I wouldn't have even taken the conversation there.
No.
But it's a really dope ride.
I'm not upset. I'm over it, you know.
You like wait in lines
I
and
harbor
it's
no
hot.
ill will.
I wonder if it's even still there. You know, if
It
they
is. I
update
went
it,
on it last
if
year.
they update it with a
Oh.
version of the new one, it
They
would just be
better
Tom
fucking
Cruise going,
not.
the plane flies.
What's
No.
going on here?
No, unacceptable. That ride
Oh,
is a
man.
gym. It's an American treasure.
And then a beautiful lady mummy, her
What?
eyes go.
His friend, they never
They
could
split.
figure out. That was such a weirdly written character. The friend that's a ghost that he can see.
So
That makes no sense.
That is weird because they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, they never-
Like,
it's
he
not-
he shows up randomly in one scene at the bar, and then he's back at the end of the movie, and he brings him back at the very end.
He's in like 2 or 3 scenes. He's like the magical ghost.
Yeah, but they don't use him hardly at all. He's supposed to be like the comic relief, I guess.
No, he's there to give guidance.
Well, yeah, that I guess.
Yeah.
Because he keeps saying
Either job was done poorly.
he keeps saying if the curse is ended, he can die and be gone. That's his goal, is to stop being a ghost. He says this like 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So the script of this movie was meant to set up other movies somehow. I don't know how, because I don't know anyone that's going to want to see another one of these.
Ooh, you know what I also liked about this movie? Was the Baby Driver trailer at the
Oh
beginning.
my
I
God.
can't wait to see that movie.
Baby driver.
Oh
Okay.
man, I want to see
We
Baby
can
Driver.
also, instead of talking about the mummy, because it was so fucking uninteresting.
It was a good trailer for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good too.
2 trailers with Kenneth Branagh.
Oh my god.
Dunkirk and Murder on the Orient Express.
Wait, he's the
Kenneth
Kenneth
Branagh's in everything.
It's like who's Kenneth Branagh?
He was in Wild Wild West.
He was the guy with no
Dr.
legs.
Arliss.
Call back to episode 2
Do
of the
you
Unwanted
know
Epilogue.
Arliss Loveless is Loveless. Loveless proper.
Oh my god.
Bless his heart and his legs.
I think before we jump around anymore, we
I
should
know,
talk
I'm
about
sorry.
the end of the movie so that we can be done with this fucking movie.
You know, I will say, for as uninteresting as it was, like I said in the beginning, it was like not a bad movie to sit through.
I
was alright.
I will say I didn't hate it. Like I didn't like Suicide Squad at all.
Ugh,
It wasn't
don't
painful
even.
like Suicide Squad.
No.
Or like Pirates of the fucking Caribbean.
But at the same time, oh, shit, we haven't seen that. But Ford has seen that.
So also, I guess what the 3 movies I've seen this summer would be Aliens. I did not see Guardians of the Galaxy.
We didn't
Still haven't seen that either.
But I saw Pirates and I saw this movie. Pirates, like out of 10, was like a 1.
Oh,
Maybe like a 2. This movie, I would give it like a 5. And like a passing 5. Like a 50 is a C in my book. And
what?
Aliens was like a decent like 6+ maybe.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I didn't hate Aliens either.
I didn't either, but I was
as bad as
a
everyone said
little
it
more
was.
spooked by life.
I would say anything below a 5 was like I regret seeing it. Like it was hard to sit through, other than if you're doing it just for the
For the lulz.
for the penance to clear your soul.
Yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this movie as like a fun, good, bad movie to watch because I don't think it was that interesting on that level. If you just like a monster movie and you will see any monster movie, then it's probably okay on that level.
Don't do it. See Jeepers Creepers. That's a good monster movie.
I like
Save yourself.
there was like one moment where I thought that they were going to turn the movie around when he's driving he's driving away in an ambulance and he's like tearing ass through the woods and they're like trying to take shortcuts and hit the road and
And
just
then
like
they-
And you
get the
drove
hell
back
away
to
from
her?
the church and then all of a sudden it's like they like come to a sudden stop and they're right back at the church.
Yeah.
I liked
Like-
And he
that.
was like, "Oh shit, she's in my head." After
Yeah.
he was like, "She's not in my head."
Right.
Yeah, that was it felt like the old Mummy movie
Right.
for a second,
Or
for just a second.
not- it wasn't even like they didn't try to do one for one off the old Mummy movie. That was like something different. you
No,
know?
that was a nice
Yeah.
thing for its own
And so
movie.
it's like,
yeah.
oh shit, they're gonna actually like maybe do something cool with this. And then the movie is she's captured the whole time, and
Yeah.
like nothing happens. Fuck this movie.
Yeah. It was
Preach on
it was an
it.
excuse to get her to London so she could do the giant wall of sand in London and have all those iconic things, but they only showed like 3 seconds of CGI sand going through London.
Busting
They
everything.
barely
It
showed it.
seemed-
Dude, that
like-
would have killed like a zillion people.
That was the other thing. The body count would have been so high.
Yeah.
Okay, Something though that I was like, well, that's weird because I would have expected that from this newer version is the stakes for the real life, just regular Jags, right, are much higher in the 1999 Mummy. Like in this, it's just like she wants Tom Cruise and she basically sticks with Tom Cruise. No plagues, no like extra shit where people are turned into slaves and are like, you know, yeah, she like sucks the soul out of some people. That happens.
It's not nearly as
but
apocalyptic.
it's not, yeah, there's not that like the world is gonna end if we do not get this bitch in a box.
Conversely, though, like she does kill like millions of people in London.
Well,
like,
we don't see it really.
Well,
though.
the thing is, though, if like
You're right,
it's
though.
implied that like if she ever got out, it would be bad news. But she's like contained. The old movies, you're right that the stakes for the average Jag are like worse.
Yes.
But like that's like if they don't manage to stop him here in Egypt.
Yes.
Like in this movie, they're basically, you're right, like the situation's under control. Other than the one scene where millions of people die, you know, who cares? Like, yeah. I don't know. It's very strange. Like
the stakes of it didn't
didn't
feel very high,
you know,
versus
right.
The people are like, you
You're
know,
pulling for Tom
the water
Cruise.
is blood very quickly.
Yeah.
They are like, you know, boils and gross shit.
Yeah. Well, and in the old ones, you essentially assume the whole time that, like, they're gonna go down stopping this thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of their whole plan is, like, alright, we're pretty much screwed. This guy's, like, super powerful. It's all we can do to just, like, go and contain this. And in this one, you're just hoping that Tom Cruise gets to, like, get with that chick at the end, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, that's really all that you're, like,
I was
pulling
hoping
for.
he would get with the mummy chick at the end. I was pulling for their
She's the
relationship.
prettier lady.
Yeah.
She's the better girlfriend too. But she can suck
She's
dudes
much
dry.
more committed.
So that was like the one mildly cool thing to me was it reminded me of Life Force, the old British movie. And a lot of this movie reminded me of that. Like the end of the movie all takes place in London and it's like very apocalyptic in Life Force. And when the vampire people from space suck people dry, the mummies look just like the mummies in this movie. So yeah, that was kind of a cool little thing. And there was one callback to the 1999 Mummy. It was actually a callback to it. The Book of the Dead falls on the floor when he's running through. Yeah. I was like, ah!
But they did nothing with it.
No, they didn't do anything with it. It was just a like, fuck
It was a
you,
cameo.
Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, it was a cameo.
Brendan Fraser has the last laugh though because now he gets to sit around eating 14 pounds of pulled pork a day, and he actually has been on the Russell Crowe diet plan, which is to eat 15
should be so
raw
lucky
eggs.
to serve him pulled pork every day. Okay.
I love Brendan Fraser, so I'm not gonna hate.
Did you ever watch The Affair? You need to watch
No.
him on The Affair. He's fantastic.
Does he have long hair?
No,
like he
but
does at the
he's
beginning
like
of the
a
Mummy?
crazy prison guard. He's a
I would like to watch Mummy 2 right now.
I want to watch it right now too.
You know, Mummy 3.
I never watched the new Mummy either, like the newest Mummy. You mean Mummy 3, the Scorpion King?
No, I mean that's like Mummy 1.5. Mummy 3 is the Dragon King.
Right, no, I never saw that one.
Okay, it's terrible, but
So better?
maybe we should do that one.
Yeah, let's do both.
Maybe we should do that on the
Okay,
podcast.
now let's do it.
Do what now?
We should do the third
Mummy?
movie.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe also the Scorpion
It's
King.
my turn to pick next, and I'm not picking that shit.
No, that's okay. I'm just talking about, you know.
I'm
I have a lot of
Far-flung
love
future.
for these movies. I saw the second one at the drive-in.
I
with
saw
my
the second
family.
one
It was
10
awesome.
fucking times in the theater because
Nice memories.
I was a very dumb teenage child.
The
and I
first
loved
one
them.
is one of my favorite movies growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I have more affection for the original Mummy than I do for, not the original, whatever, the 1999
Right. The
one.
1999.
The original in my heart.
Than I do for like Independence Day
Yeah,
or like
well-
any of the movies from that era.
I would put them on the same level. Yeah. I
know.
can't say more than Independence Day,
Money
man.
well spent.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard comparison, but I
Yeah.
still think
Also,
Mummy is one of my
Scarab
favorites.
Beetles.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
so many
They'll eat your
iconic
insides
things in
out.
it that
Well,
this
they
movie
run up
just
your arm
doesn't.
or your
Oh,
leg.
yeah,
that's
where he has
part
to
of the
cut one
ride,
out of him.
right?
Yeah.
Where they're like
They
projected
blow
on the
air on
walls
you.
and there's air being blown
Yeah,
at
oh,
your
man.
face and shit. It's great. It's a dope ride.
There's a good Indiana Jones ride too.
That's not
Have you
universal.
been on the SpongeBob ride at Six Flags?
I have not had the pleasure.
I love that.
Is that a real thing?
yeah.
Because I'm buying in right now for it. I
Yeah,
hope
it's
you're not
good.
dicking me
Ford is
out.
recommending the SpongeBob ride over the Mummy
At Six Flags.
in theaters.
Well, I'm
now.
banned from Universal Studios. So
Oh my god, I
I just
forgot.
settled for SpongeBob.
How are you gonna go to Harry Potter land?
I never am.
He's not
Oh
in
no,
theaters
Ford.
for another 4 hours.
Yeah.
4 to 8 hours.
Yeah, go
Because
catch it while you can. Or actually don't.
Just don't.
Don't waste
Go
your
see
money.
Aliens.
Open your heart to the 1999 Mummy and just take it in.
Go to Redbox and rent that shit.
Redbox and rent literally anything from the Redbox. Like rent a Redbox exclusive movie. They have those, right? That's a real thing. That's like a Steven Seagal movie.
You should watch Downfall.
Oh my god.
Just watch Downfall. Or Man on the Moon. That's a good movie.
Or just Moon.
Moon's a good movie.
Moon is a good movie.
Moon.
We all saw that together in a theater.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember all
Oh
of
my
us being
gosh.
there.
Bless your heart.
Was that when I was making jokes about James Franklin? Or was that a different movie?
I don't know.
James Franklin's not in that movie.
No. No, but we saw like a poster. Remember that shit?
I don't remember that.
Alright.
James Franklin was barely an alien.
James Franklin and Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen.
I'm sorry. I do not remember that part
Seth
of
Rogen. He has a beautiful
the
voice.
situation.
He does. He's like an angel. Alright, so closing thoughts?
I can't wait for the next Dark Universe film. The Dark Universe.
You shut your mouth.
Do you know anything about what the next ones are going to be?
Yes, the
What?
next one is Bride of Frankenstein.
What?
Yeah.
Who's
Oh,
in
good.
it?
I don't know.
Emma Watson.
We can find out. I don't care
Emma
to.
Watson.
No, I'm just kidding.
But the one after that, I think, is the Fishman.
I can't with this. I'm sorry.
Who plays
Oh.
the Fishman? Steve Buscemi?
My heart belongs to O'Connell. Just go watch.
Oh,
The
Javier
Mummy,
Bardem is
okay?
the Frankenstein monster in the new one.
That makes
Who's
sense.
that? I don't know who that is.
He was in, what do you call it?
No Country for Old Men.
That.
Oh, gotcha.
Where he
With
was
the
the-
air
he was the-
compressor thing.
Flip the coin.
Yeah.
Flip the coin.
Wait, you never did your Benny impression.
I'm not doing a Benny impression.
Oh, come on.
That's racist.
Too shy. Too shy.
Benny is racist.
Benny is horribly racist.
He started it.
He did start it.
Do it.
I don't even remember what he sounds like now.
Okay, fine.
Mince words here.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Let's
You
keep
don't,
it
you don't do an
together
impression
here.
of an African?
Let's keep it together.
I could do
fellas.
South Africa.
Oh god.
It's
That's New
it's
Zealand.
pretty shitty. All right.
Muriel's wedding. Ah, I wish that were a bad movie so we could talk about it.
Marie.
I love it. This movie was bad. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
We're done.
It was bad.
Good night, everyone. Episode 3 is over.
Fuck it.
There might not be
Should
any
definitely
more.
fade it out in the last thing that we
What are you trying to convince you to do this? Moroccan.
That's racist. All right, go to bed.